So, the first chapter in the book is called What is Science and Technology Policy? And I started doing science technology policy without even really knowing what science and technology policy was. I was a field engineer in Texas, and as a volunteer, I was working for the League of Women Voters on something called container deposit legislation. That's when you give a nickel when you buy, say, a can of Coke, and then you get that nickel back when you bring it back for recycling. And I had all sorts of data and information to say that it was effective and that it worked. And there was even poll data available that showed that most Texans favored container deposit legislation. So I really thought I had a winner when I went before the Texas state legislature and testified on behalf of the league that container deposit legislation was a good thing. But I was really surprised at what happened in the end. When I went to the hearing, I found out that Coca-Cola had transported by bus from Dallas about 50 workers from that bottling plant who said they would lose their job if container deposit legislation went into effect because there would be less bottles for them to make. Then I talked to a legislator who said that in his community, that was how Boy Scouts earned their money for their troops because they collected those bottles and cans on the side of the road, and they would not be able to have money for their activities if there was container deposit legislation. And it was at that point that I learned it wasn't enough to have facts and figures to show that a piece of legislation would be effective, that you had to consider more when you were working in the world of science and technology. You had to think about the culture and the people that would be impacted by whatever actions would be taken. And that was a perspective of a policymaker, not a scientist or an engineer. Another quick story is when I was a college student, and President Jimmy Carter, who was an engineer, put solar panels on the roof of the White House. And this was, thrilling to me because I was studying solar engineering. I was learning how to design solar cells, and it was really what I thought my future profession would be. But even before I graduated, President Ronald Reagan was elected, and the whole world changed. He took off those solar panels from the roof of the White House. He cut funding for the Environmental Protection Agency. And all of a sudden, the world of energy and environmental policy changed because a new president was elected. And this shows you how quickly science technology policy can change with a single policymaker. So when you look at science technology policy, there are two areas on which you can focus. One is policy for science and technology. And there you're looking at issues like research funding, things that will benefit the scientific and technical community. The other option is science technology for policy, where you're trying to help policymakers and the public make better decisions. And you need to figure out which one you're interested in the most, and that will become the focus of your career. Perhaps it's both, perhaps it's one. It's all up to you how you want to impact society.